Hey everyone, it is bright and early Saturday morning and I am going to go to a swap meet that's happening right down the street. I got my backpack. I always carry a backpack, bring some bottles of water, and well, the only thing I'm really looking for is I'm hoping someone has an old tool cart that I can work on, and I'll explain later what I want to do with that. But hey, let's go to the swap meet. All right, I'm back. I didn't find exactly what I was looking for. And you recall I said I was looking for a tool cart. I did find a tool cart, a crazy one. It's got giant wheels. I also found this, check it out. This is an old Craftsman box. But the tool cart is something, look at the crazy wheels on it. Which of course makes it incredibly easy to move. So it's too tall for the purposes I had for it. But I got a new idea for it. I'll show you that in a second. Alright, it was originally this kind of bronzy color. It is quite rusty on this top shelf. That's going to require some work. Actually rusted through on that spot. So it's going to require a lot of work. The shelf is bent, but other than the top, which clearly this thing was outside, it's clearly salvageable. And these shelves come out. Just take 4 screws out. Let's see who made it. Atco Corporation, Chicago, Illinois. So who knows what this thing has seen? I wonder. So the handle can come off. Hey Nacho, you guys see what we're doing? It's hot out today, Nacho. Very hot. But so my idea is to use it for my compressor. I don't have room for a big compressor, so I just use this. And I've been using the hand truck. That's why the bungee cord is on there, because I just carry it on that. But I've got extra hoses, I've got fittings and all that. So it's not my original intent for this. Gotta show you. Yeah, Nacho's gotta check everything out. Everything new. But see, to get into my garage, I've got this lip, and so I'm always struggling with that. But these giant wheels will have no trouble whatsoever. So it's a good project, I think. Not going to start it today. A little late in the day to be doing something like this, but it looks like a great project. Some hammered gray paint, or if I want to make it the original bronze color, hammered bronze. I'm not sure which one I have more of. This is the only trick. This is going to be tricky. There's not much left of this, but I think there's enough. And if not, I'll cut a piece of plywood, drop it right in there. All right. Well, those are my scores for the day. So what would you think I paid for this thing? 20 bucks. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Right, Nacho? $20. So for 20 bucks, I think I can find a good use for it. As I said, it's not exactly what I wanted to do. It's not the one I wanted. I wanted something lower to the ground, which this would be if the wheels weren't so gigantic. But those casters are actually welded on, so I won't be taking those off. And even though it wouldn't serve my purposes, I immediately found a better use for it. And for 20 bucks, it was worth loading in the truck and driving it home. All right, so I'll pick up again tomorrow when I get to work on this thing. All right, we're back. It's the next day, and we're gonna get started on this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking it apart. Take the handle off, take that shelf out, which I think is only held in by 4 screws. Hi, Muggsy. And then, you know, see how bad this middle shelf is. It looks pretty good. It looks salvageable. So let's get busy. Interesting, as rusty as these screws are outside, they're not bad inside at all. Threads aren't rusty at all. Well, it seems there's always a problem. And on this side, that nut is not going to want to come off. I'll show you what I'm dealing with. That thing is pretty rusty in there. And this one appears to be missing. I don't know if there's something on there. I think so. Yeah, these are going to be tricky, which is interesting because those two came off no problem. Alright, I'm going to work on these for a bit. I'll be back. Okay, I was able to get that one out, and I'm just down to this guy. As you can see, the threads are quite rusted. So I'm going to use a wire brush to go around the threads. I've got it so I can turn it with the screw, so I should be able to clean up the threads around it, and then I've just got to break it free. So whenever using a wire brush like this, be sure to wear safety glasses. We certainly don't want any of those wires coming off the brush and hitting you in the eye. And anyone that's done work with these things knows they do actually come off, and they come off really fast, probably faster than you'd be able to blink. So definitely wear safety glasses, especially because I have to look directly at it to see what I'm doing. Okay, I cleaned a lot of the rust off. I'll try it again. This screwdriver holds the screw better. It's quite a large head on it. I don't want to have to grind the head of the screw off, but it's a possibility. Got it. So the impact driver worked. Hope you saw that. It was probably loud as hell under there. But the impact driver worked. Had to hold on to that screwdriver on that side for dear life, but it did work. Alright, so now And just take the rest of those bolts out that I already loosened and take the shelf out. I'm sure the shelf is quite rusted into there, so it may require a couple of whacks with a hammer to get it out. Nope. Alright. Alright, there you go. That's what we're dealing with. It's not bad. The back wall's in good shape. This is pretty rusty, but it's solid, unlike the top. So probably hit it with a heavy wire brush. Excuse me. And then sand it, and then prime it, and then paint it. I guess I gotta decide what I'm gonna do for paint. Okay, this stuff is pretty thick, not only in here, but especially up top. So I'm using this guy. See how well that does. And safety glasses, of course. Wow. I know you probably couldn't see that. Let me set it up so you can see over here. This thing works quite well at taking this heavy rust off. So, if you haven't got one of these, get one. Wow, that worked amazingly well. Really, really well. It's not smooth, but the sandpaper will take care of that. Alright, this needs to be cleaned out and sanded. The ultimate test is going to be up here. And honestly, there's not much left up here. In some parts, it's rusted all the way through. I haven't quite decided what I'll be doing here. But I do know the first thing I'll be doing is hitting it with this thing. Because this thing's all bent. Hopefully there's enough pressure. I am going to start with a 60 and then go to a 120, I think. Not sure how smooth I really care if this gets. It's pretty rusted. Especially if I use hammered paint on it, it won't matter. Alright, we got this drawer here that's all bent. Mostly in this one spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a board down. It's on a board. And try to hammer it and see if I can kind of flatten that out, and then I gotta work on this edge too. So this edge is going to be a little trickier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my vise, which you may have seen me do this before. All I've got to do is right where it's really wavy. Make sure you can see that right here. Just gonna put it in the vise and I'm gonna flatten it that way. It's a little big and awkward, but it'll work. Almost good as new. Now, unfortunately, for the sake of painting, this sticker will have to go. It does not want to come off. So the trick, I'm always told, is to use a heat gun. Let's see. Yep, that's doing it. Soften up the glue and then peel it off. That's all it took. And let this thing cool off. Alright, there's a couple spots on here, you can see there, and here where it's actually rusted. There's a little spot there, all the way through. I don't really have a weld patcher or anything like that I can do, so I'm actually going to kind of fill it in with JB Weld, and that'll hold it. So let me mix that up. This stuff's pretty easy to use if you've seen my other videos. Sorry about the shaky camera there, I was getting the tripod ready. If you've seen my other videos, you've seen how to do it. I've used it actually to patch rust holes in my truck. You just mix up 2 equal parts. I don't know if this is enough, but maybe. A lot of times I'll apply it with a brush and just mix it so it gets that kind of medium gray color, you know, till all the streaks or ribbons are out of it, and it's ready to apply. It's a bit much asking to fill a deep hole like that, but it'll work. Even if it takes more than one coat. These smaller holes will be easy. What I think a good idea would be, I'm going to put some painter's tape under that. And then I'll be over. So I got painter's tape on the underside of it. All right, that's going to take some time to dry. I'll be back. All right, for the really bad parts, like this shelf and the top part, I'm going to use the Rust Reformer primer. That can. This looks rougher than it is. I sanded it down, but it's pretty pockmarked. All right, when that dries, I've decided I'm going to use hammered gray. This isn't that bad, so I'm just using regular automotive primer on it. And it's not windy out, so it looks like I'm able to just stand it on end like this, which is useful. This is a very old can of primer. It's just barely spraying. But hopefully it'll get the job done. If not, I got a second can. All right, the shelf will be dry in a few minutes and I'll paint that. I gotta wait for the JB Weld to set some more on this. These parts are done, but I noticed a couple of little holes in the front, so I'm letting that set. It's hot out, so it'll dry quick. I'll be back. All right, primer's done. I'm gonna use hammered gray. At least I think this is gray. Very hard to tell from the photos or from the cap color, because Rust-Oleum does not see fit to write the color on the cans. I don't know why that is. And with hammered, always remember, shake it a lot. My rule is 100 shakes or more. I like to get it from multiple angles, especially when the surface is a little rough. Whereas this thing is laying flat, you can go pretty thick. You're not going to get any runs or anything like that out of it. And it's hot out, and this thing's been in the sun for a bit, so. All right, that's that. Let's work on the handle. Okay, for the handle, I'm going to use red Rust-Oleum High Performance enamel. Pretty good stuff. Probably my best option for painting this is to just leave it on its side like this. And then just flip it over once it's pretty much dry. Again, always shake your paint well. Gonna do multiple light coats with this. I didn't see any sign of oil on it, but I don't know. You never know when that's gonna show up. But this paint is not like hammered. It will run. So a little bit at a time. It's also red. Red takes a lot of coats. All right, I'm gonna give that a few minutes. Let it set, and I'll put a couple more coats on. Okay, it's overkill, I know, but I am going to paint the wheels. And in order to do that, I need to get them off. And I think they're 3/4. Okay. These are cotter pins, the back wheels, but let me get the 2 fronts off. And we'll be back. I'm masking up the wheels for paint. The front, I actually have to mask both sides because their wheels turn. And I have not used acetone on these wheels yet, and that's because I'm getting my fingerprints and glue all over them anytime I don't put the tape perfectly. So I'm just going to clean them up, wipe them down right after I get all the tape on. This is a relatively long process. Alright, let me get some gloves on, some acetone, and we'll paint them. Well, my camera battery is about to die, but I'll try to get these all primed up anyway. I just sanded them down just lightly. Cabinet got its first coat on. It looks good. I don't know if I'm even going to put a second coat on it. It's got a pretty heavy first coat. All right. I figure I will put the handle on since it's dry. It's had 24 hours or 20 hours or so to dry. Looks good. So I've got stainless hardware I'm going to be using. red handle kind of sets it off a little bit. It also clears out my pad here so I can paint the wheels without getting any paint on the box itself. I'll give that a couple extra seconds before I hit it again. Let's go over and look at it a little closer. I think the red wheel's going to look nice. Okay, here's the last coat for this side of the wheels anyway. After that has plenty of time to set, and by that I mean several hours, I will flip the two over and do the other side. They look good. I think it's going to be a good match for this. I think it's going to look cute. The red handle and that. Alright, that's it for now. You want to help now, Mugs? Alright, a little break with Mugsy. And I gotta get back to it. Oh, you're a good boy, Mugs. See how well these wheels came out. Got a new quarter pin. Okay, for the fronts, I've got these bolts that hold them on. So I'm gonna go to the grinding wheel and clean them up, and then I'll put some clear paint on them. Sorry, my bench is yet again a complete mess. A lot of little projects going on. It takes very little time to go from that to that. I'm gonna clean them up quick. Now the washers are in work straight. Alright. The nuts don't matter. I'm gonna go hit these guys with some clear, which I'm pretty sure I have. Yep. Maybe. Oh, there's enough in that can to even do this. See, it feels pretty empty. Let's go hit them. And this is just, I mean, once you've taken the rust and corrosion off these, you hate to just leave them so they just get rusty again. And they will. They're not stainless. But hopefully this will delay it a little bit. Yeah, I'm putting it on thick. That's it. That can's pretty much empty. Okay, I got the sanded and clear coated washers on. Let's demask the front wheels now, and then we'll put them on. That's a lot of pieces of masking tape. There really is no front and back to these, but they're probably, if you're pushing it forward, the wheels are going to go that way. So I'm going to put the nut in that way. And there's no washers on this side. I suppose I could have cleaned up the nuts a little bit. One thing I should have done. Okay, let's set it. Let's tighten. That's tight. Okay. I don't want to tighten these too much because then the wheels won't spin. So I just want to make them tight. And that's too tight. See? There we go. All right, that's one. All right, wheels are on. Let's take it off the blocks. Let's get a look. Not bad. The red wheels really set it off. We're not done yet. Got a few more steps. Okay, I put the shelf in. I put it low. I was going to put it up, but I noticed that there are no shelf holes high enough, and I wanted to give it enough room. So here's ultimately what it's going to carry. It's going to have my little compressor in it with the hose, the spare hose, and little whatever else I need for it. Power cord and all that. This should fit right up here nicely. Well, I guess it will if I tilt it in. It's very close. Yep, got it. All right. All right. So, this is ultimately what its purpose is going to be. I'm in the accessory phase to this tool cart and I came across this in my garage. I was looking for a power strip I could add to it, and I found this old metal one. This is actually quite old, so I'm sure that if it had surge protection, it's probably no longer valid, but it has a really long cable. All the outlets work. The only thing is it's getting rusty. So I think I'm going to mask it off and paint it and then mount it. But probably a good idea would be to drill some mounting holes in this metal edge first, and then paint it. Hi, Mugs. Come to see what's going on? All right, so let me get to that. Okay, well, I filmed drilling the holes in it, but I thought I did anyway, but I did not. So holes are drilled. I'm gonna go mask it. Yeah, we're gonna sit in the shade for this, Muggy. It is 87 degrees out. All right, I got one can. It's almost empty. We'll use that first. I assume this is going to take quite a few coats, so it's good to have a second can. This thing has a textured, wow, is that empty already? Textured finish from the factory. So we're not going to get a really smooth high gloss out of this by any stretch. Alright, let's let this sit. It's got enough on it. Let it sit for a few minutes. I'll come back and put another couple coats on it. Looks good though. This is that Rust-Oleum High Performance Red. It's pretty good paint. I've had a lot of luck with it. Okay. It should be dry by now. Pretty good. Got a little junk blown on it. Hopefully none of it stuck. Doesn't look like it did. A little bit of the texture came through. Let's see if we got any overspray. A couple of these things did open up while I was painting them. Hopefully not too bad. Nah, it's very little. Could use a little touch-up on that one. Overall, I'm not going to complain. Looks pretty good. Not rusty anyway. How are we doing the LED? The LED, we didn't get paint on it. That's good. So, my idea for this is to mount it here. What are you doing with this thing? Luckily, it's all, none of it's sticking. Probably like that. Yeah. A little far, wide view. Right there looks like a good spot. I got a hole already ready for it. Let me try that. I'll be back. Okay, I got one screw in there. I'm just kind of looking at it. That looks good. The red looks really good. To make sure that it's straight, gotta eyeball it. I could use a tape measure, I guess, but this is something I'm just gonna eyeball. Looks straight. Almost. I am going to use a tape measure. Just to be sure. Because I don't know if the edge is completely. I get quite 4. You got one, aha. Not quite. Right there. Alright, we got a power strip. Pretty cool. I got another idea for how to secure the compressor inside. Let's move on to that. So what I've got is these 2 eye bolts, and I'm going to use them to kind of tie the compressor down. And I've got some cap nuts that'll go on the end. But I'm theorizing this is going to work. I really don't know. We'll see. So what I've got to do is, to do this, I've got to back this nut up, and then it's going to go through the wall, and then the cap nut will go on, and then I'll tighten this thing back up. I mean, ideally, I'd put some new holes in this because these aren't in exactly the right spot, but I think they'll be okay. A pretty good plan. So let me show you what I'm doing. Show you the end result. So I put this guy, if you can see it, hopefully you can. I know there's a lot of, right, there you go. So that guy, and then I can tie something to it. It just kind of hold the compressor from bouncing. All right. First thing is put the cap nut on. So put it through the hole, screw in the cap nut on. So tighten the cap nut, which isn't twisting that. I take this nut and I tighten the nut down. It's a little harder to do this one left-handed. Alright. I got 2. I've got this may be a little bit too long for this, but I can find a shorter one. Oh no, actually it's a good size. Look at that. So now I just move this thing back. And look at that, well, you got it tied down. So now it's pretty much not going to go anywhere. If it bounces a little bit too much, I can just wrap this around the handle, which I think I will do. Because I think I have enough to do that at least once. Maybe twice. Now get in. Yep, even tighter now. Look at that. I did leave some rubber marks on my new paint. Now, get that guy. That's the power cord to the generator. I mean, to the compressor. So for this, you don't want it to be pulled. I think I got this guy here in my random hardware collection, and I think this will work out just fine. Plugged in. I'm going to take this. I'm going to clip it. Use one of these bolts that's sticking out here, like that, like that. I think. Yeah. And there you go. Now I just got to put a nut on that, and my cable is secure. Can you see that? Hopefully you can see what I just did there. Put a little shelf liner down. The shelf liner I had that I bought for that toolbox isn't wide enough really for this, but it'll work. I've got a better hook for the hook cable. So I'm going to drill a couple holes because the existing holes just aren't really a great spot for this. back up and make sure it's straight. So this is a large Velcro hanger. I don't use the full length of the hose for air very often, but for the odd time when I do. All right. Let's take a look. Oh, one more finishing touch. I got a great idea. It just occurred to me. Let's see. I'm gonna work around these bolts that I put in. So all of my hose fittings, which I have in pieces, whatever they may be, in here. All these guys. Got their own place now. All right, let's take a look. Now that is when a plan comes together. Now, it was important that I not really secure this thing in here, because when I use my nail gun, which will also go in this cart, along with that, I'm not sure where it is. There it is. And the nails, of which I don't have many. But when I use my nail gun, it's a good idea to be able to take the compressor out of here, because I'm probably going to be using the nail gun indoors. And so for that, I'll want to take it out and just carry it. But hopefully this fits. It does, just barely. Yet everything. Alright, now how cool is that? Oops, nails. Nails in here too. I don't have many of these left, I gotta get some more. I got the nail gun in there, I got the fittings. I know it's late. Bugs will be after me shortly, but there we go. That is when a plan comes together. That is cool. Okay, I did end up deciding to paint the inside of the rear wheels. Right, Muggsy? Here's the inside of the rear wheels painted. All right, it is the last day. I'm going to do the last accessorizing step. And what I got is I'm going to replace, you recall I had to remove an American flag logo from the back of it, but I also got this, a Atlas manufacturing decal. And this is Atlas Press Company, Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is interesting. I'll show you the logo here. This says Chicago, Illinois, so it is clearly a similar Atlas right there, but a different address. But I'm not going to be choosy. I just wanted to put a decal on it, dress it up a little bit. But I've got an extra hook. I can hang an extension cord drop light on it. But let's do the decals. The American flag decal, if you recall from when I started this project and had to take it off with a heat gun, went on the back. It says it's die cut, and it is. This one's going to be very easy because I'm just going to put it, you can see the lines, I'm just going to put it exactly where the other one was. It's pretty close to the exact same size. It's off by just a little bit, maybe 2% smaller. There we go. Looks good, huh? That adds a lot. All right, now, the Atlas logo, I was thinking I'd put in the front. Good question, though, is where? Hopefully this is a die-cut logo emblem or decal as well. Don't know. I got these off eBay, by the way. They weren't much, like $3 a piece. I think the flags, I got several of them in case I want to use them for spare. So the Atlas logo I could just put right there. Just got to center it. Yeah, I think that'll work. I mean, could put it in the middle. Kind of looks a little bit more impressive in the middle. Or lower, right there. Probably right there. I just got to find the center. So let me get a tape measure, find the center. I'll be right back. Okay, so how I'm going to measure out the center. We are, of course, we're not anything even. Apparently 19 3/4. So we're about there. Out again. Look at where I want this. That looks good. So 20 would be 10 inches, but 19 3/4 is not quite that. I'm just going to put a line right there. So this line on the tape is essentially the center. So this is 4 inches. I'm looking for the center of the logo. It's right about where that T crosses. So the logo centered should be there. But to be sure, right, Muggsy? Oh, it's too hot for that, Muggs. Too hot for you to be lying down. You're gonna get scorched. It is hot today. So if that is truly the center, it's about there. Let me back up and look at it. Right, Bugs? Oh, my boy. You think I'm not patting Muggsy? He's right there. Let me back look up and see if that's centered. That honestly doesn't look centered from a distance. When I pull back, it doesn't look that centered. I'm not sure if it's because the holes are a little bit off. Not that it particularly matters, but let's see. Yeah. 8. It is centered. Interesting. Well, all right then. I'm just gonna roll it right down. Well, centered perfectly or not, it's on. All right, looks good. Let's look at these close up. So now we've got an Atlas Manufacturing or Atlas Press Company, and we've got our American flag logo backwards. The American flag logo really dresses it up. So I'm going to do one more step, and that is I'm going to spray clear on top of that logo just to give it a little layer of protection, and it's done. All right, one last look. There it is with the decals. The custom toolbox that I had restored a few weeks ago fits right in perfectly. Got all my air tool extensions and all that, even though this compressor isn't powerful enough to run any real air tools except for the nail gun. Got a hook for a spare power cord where the drop light is hanging. Got a shelf for a spare air hose. And oh yeah, I almost forgot my 1980s power strip that I painted red. That's pretty much it. So this was a fun project. I didn't finish it, you know, in a few hours. Time-wise, it probably took me 4 to 6 hours to complete the project, but I had to wait a week for the decals to come in. I had to wait a few days for the hardware to come in and the hooks. So I just kind of did it step by step. But overall, I got maybe not even $50 into this. This cart was a steal for $20. It's from the 1930s, and yeah, it had some rust, but what are you gonna do? It's basically in retirement mode now. It won't be used for anything particularly aggressive. So hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you like this type of content. I've got more coming. I'm always working on something, and you know, as I always say, if you want to take on something like this, hey. It's just simple stuff, paint, hardware, yeah, you can do it, a drill. Don't be intimidated. Just go out, get busy. Take care.